Hello and welcome back to another video. This is my third and probably my last video on the topic of should Canada become a 51st state of the United States. I just wanted to touch on a new poll here, and it suggests that few Canadians are open to President Donald Trump's repeated pitches for Canada to become a U.S. state. However, interest is rising among Canadian conservatives and Canadian supporters and those living in Alberta. I live in Alberta, in case you didn't know. Now, it says the poll was released this week, and it talks about, I think it was 20% of the people who were polled on this online poll said they were interested in pursuing statehood. What's interesting here in this poll is that more men are open to the idea of becoming a U.S. citizen or a U.S. state than women. It says, men were more open to the idea of becoming U.S. citizens at 17%, compared with 7% of women. Quite interesting. It says respondents over the age of 55 were least likely to want a U.S. citizenship at 6%, compared with 17% of those between 18 and 34 years old, and 16% of respondents between ages 35 and 54. So that's interesting. Conservative respondents were much more interested in becoming American citizens, 21% of them, than Liberal and NDP respondents, only 5% each. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah. Basically, it's just saying that more conservative men, especially in Alberta, are open to the idea of becoming not only Canada's as a 51st state, but of course, U.S. citizenship. Less so in the eastern provinces like Toronto and whatnot, and less Liberal or NDP. Those folks want to stay in Canada. They don't want to become part of the U.S. And quite interesting. As I've mentioned, I think in my first video about this, Alberta has always been kind of known to have kind of wanted to kind of go on its own. I remember back in the 70s when we used to be able to drive around in our pickup trucks. We used to have our Winchester lever action rifles on the back window. And I remember at 14 years old, in 1978, walking down to the hardware store, in a small town, go out and buying a shotgun. I still have the shotgun. It's a single barrel, single shot Winchester shotgun, break action shotgun. And I remember buying that thing. I think it was $45. And I just broke open the action, threw it over my shoulder, and walked home. I was 14 years old, and bought the shotgun, and walked home. As long as that action was broken open, nobody said anything. And that was where RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, they drive by. And the world has changed. Canada has changed. Freedoms we had back in the day, you could walk out and drink a cold beer on the street. Can't do those kind of things anymore. I think there are states and there are countries where you have more freedoms than we do here in Canada. Canada has tightened up a lot over the years. And I'm not just talking about that, but I'm talking about things even like, getting your bank account frozen by the current Canadian political administration because you donate $20 to a cause that they don't like. They'll freeze your bank. And that sets a dangerous precedent when the politicians can start doing that kind of thing. So I, for one, believe that Canada is not as free as it once was. But I'm not saying that separating is the right answer. I don't know. I like Andrew Henderson, who has the Nomad Capitalist. Talks about planting flags, the theory of planting flags. Go where you're treated best. And if you have the financial abilities, go to areas of the world where you don't do all your transactions in one country. You don't maybe you have bank accounts in other parts of the world. You don't have to be a millionaire, but if you got a little bit of money here and there and whatnot, and maybe own a piece of property in another country. I mean, I would love to own a apartment or something in who knows where, Bulgaria, or Serbia, Southeast Asia, somewhere where a person can go. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, he said, you need to be ready to leave your country within 3 days. Because due to political turmoil, geopolitical risk, and so many things. And this is not conspiracy theories. This is acknowledging that there is geopolitical risk in the world, and even in these Western countries now. A lot of places have changed. Leave a comment. Have you seen any of this or experienced any of this? Are you a victim of your bank account being frozen because you donated to the trucker convoy or whatever, or other things? What's your opinion? I do sympathize with a lot of the folks who were over there in Ontario, and they were impacted by the trucker convoy. Of course, I do feel sorry for them, but I do understand why that was done. But I'm not a big fan of people disrupting other people's lives. You see protesters blocking traffic by sitting down in the middle of the road. Well, I don't agree with that. That's not a way of doing it. So it's just like, the strikes. You see the strikes where many times you think that chanting "rah rah rah" is going to make a change. You need to negotiate. You need to negotiate from a position of strength. And a lot of times, it's just like anything. You need to have a position of strength if you're going to get anywhere. But who am I? I'm just a guy on the internet. So it is what it is. So anyway, have a great rest of your day. Leave some comments if you could. And hopefully we can move on to some other topics and other videos. Have a great one. God bless. See you later.